Good day there everyone, and welcome to my channel called Vintage Time. My name is Cliff, and in today's video I'll be featuring a orange sapphire called Pad Paraja, and this is a tiny preform. And what I'll be doing with this sapphire is actually faceting a gem for my wife as a gift for this year's Christmas present. As you can see, this piece of orange sapphire is not huge, that's why I'm holding it within a pair of tweezers, but because the preform has a rectangular shape, I've decided to facet a Baryon rectangle. In my opinion, Baryon rectangles are not the most difficult gems to facet, but they do have quite a high output, and because sapphire has a very high RI, refractive index, this should be quite a sparkly gem. So because this gem is a gift for my wife and it's not a typical competition gem where every meet point needs to be perfectly accurate, or it's not one of the more complex designs like my eye designs, it still means that I still want to create a nice gem with really nice meet points. So if you're faceting a gem for your wife or your girlfriend, maintain a high level of craftsmanship. This means really good meet points, a really good polish. You never know, one day she might have a really close look at it and find out the gem looks a little bit shoddy, and this might happen to you. But putting all jokes aside, seriously, you can buy any old gem from a jeweller's shop. The jeweller doesn't particularly care about the quality, and the person who's cut the gem, probably the gem was cut in Sri Lanka or somewhere in Southeast Asia, they don't particularly care either about the quality, as they're just commercial cutters. It's all about output and making money. But if you're a recreational faceter, you can look at the art form a lot differently than just trying to cut a shoddy gem. You can cut the best gems on the planet and have a really high standard. But more importantly, because if you're a recreational gem cutter, you're enjoying the whole process of the art form, and you're actually putting your heart and soul into every gem you cut. And so most gems, when they're completed, they do have some personal attachment because of the time and effort you put into it. Anyway, that's enough of a rambling. Let's have a look at how the gem is going. And when you're faceting a gem or a rectangle, you need to be very precise and accurate, more so than a round gem. So don't be afraid to use calipers and measure your gem. The other thing also, if you're a beginner or you haven't faceted too many rectangle shapes, often the designs that you download online are not correct in the sequencing. And you'll see these designs and you'll be cutting in the sides and then the corners first. And here I'm cutting in the corners, but if you do that first, there's no reference point on how deep you need to cut in your corners, because your reference point will be your pavilion facets. So to me, that's poor sequencing, cutting the sides and the corners in first. Anyway, let's keep moving along and we'll see what this gem looks like. As you can see, the 4 corner facets have been cut, and also you can see the 4 pavilion facets that come to a center culet has been my reference point, so I can create those corners. Now that the bulk of the pavilion facets have been cut, I've decided to start polishing the girdle outline. Try to get the girdle outline polished as soon as you can. You don't want to be cutting in really tiny pavilion facets and then find out when you polish a girdle you've cut into a meet point. Now the next step is the pre-polish, and when it comes to sapphire, make sure you do a really good job on the pre-polish. I'm using a copper lap with 1 drop of sewing machine oil and a dab of 8000 grit diamond. Now it's really important to do this process correctly, because if you don't, you'll end up getting what we call orange peel in the final polish. So orange peel is caused because you haven't done a good enough pre-polish. So when you've used, for example, your 1200 or 3000 topper lap, it leaves still a fairly rough surface, even though it looks like it's semi-polished, but there's still a little bit of roughness on that surface, and you've got to cut through that surface area with the pre-polish, because if you don't, the final polish can't remove those speckles. Now what you see here at the moment is the final polish, and I've got no orange peel, I can guarantee you that. So I've completed faceting the pavilion, and I'm ready to start faceting the crown now. And I've done a gem transfer where I've re-glued the gem onto another dop stick. And for those people who do not know what the transfer is, then I suggest you look at my other videos, because I mention it so many times, so check that out. Also, my wife usually doesn't watch my YouTube videos. She's not particularly interested in gem cutting, but she's very interested in wearing gems. But who knows, she might be watching this video because, you know, like most wives, they tend to snoop, so she might be checking it out. So here you'll see some of the steps of how I facet the crown. I've started with a 600 grit diamond topper lap, and then I'll go over these facets with an 800 grit topper lap. And then of course, the most important thing, the pre-polish on the diamond copper lap using the 8000 grit diamond, and you'll see that coming up with 1 drop of sewing machine oil. I should also say that I have an online web shop called GemQuest, and I've already sold several gems and some gem rough material for faceting, so check that out if you're interested in buying any of my gems. I'm quite happy to sell to people in Australia and to quite a few countries overseas. So I'll leave a link in the description area where you can find my web shop, and if you don't want to buy anything, that's fine. You can sign up for a newsletter, and that's for nothing. Also, if you want to become a patron, then I'll leave a link for Patreon. I don't have a lot of patrons, but I'm really thankful for those people who support my channel, because they've actually helped me buy things like this, the diamond powder, through pretty tough times this year, because like a lot of people, we've lost our jobs because of COVID, but thankfully I'll be going back to work soon. I've already started with a couple of days, but thank you to all my patrons. I really appreciate your support, and some of my patrons I've known for a long time, and I've been emailing them, and they email me and send messages, and they get a lot of tuition advice, and they also get extra videos that you don't see on YouTube to help them become better faceters. So thank you to my patrons. Anyway, moving right along, I've gone through the whole process of prepping up the copper lap with the 8000 diamond powder and 1 drop of sewing machine oil, and now I'm polishing or pre-polishing these facets, and you'll see how that's done. So here you can see I've done a pre-polish on the bottom tier of the crown, and I start from the bottom and then move to the next step, and then finally cut and polish the crown last. So we're getting closer to the end of another video, and with this video, this gem will actually be set in a pendant setting. It's a sterling silver setting. So a lot of people say, Cliff, show us your gems in a setting. So this time you'll get to see that. So this gem will measure 9 by 6 millimeters and weighs 2.5 carats. So it gives you an idea of how big it is. Anyway everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.